I think the recording is better, the quality, than when I
Okay.
take it from Facebook, as
Sounds
far as
good.
YouTube's concerned.
Oh,
Okay, so we are preparing for Facebook. Here we go. Okay, hello everyone. It is Tea Across the Miles with Lady Amy and Lady Nancy. Uh,
hello.
Lady Nancy of Cup and Crown, Lady Amy of Houses of Windsor, and this is our monthly, quasi-monthly get
Yeah.
together.
Yes. It's been a while. When was the last time we met?
So we missed
February?
last month. Yeah.
Correct.
So it would have been February, right? It was
I'm thinking
before
it was
I went to,
February.
it was before my trip with Molly. Uh, because I know this because I got a new ring and it
Oh, gotta put
is
glasses on.
at like the Charleston like city market.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
it is royal ring style,
Yes.
but
Yes.
with the different stone. And what's hilarious is like I also got this cool like little leafy one.
You gotta make me keep putting my
I
glasses
know,
on. Hold on.
sorry. Yeah, this is a
It's a,
leafy one.
oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's
I
like
like
they're all
that.
the same like kind of bluey whatever stone that
Right,
is.
right, right, right.
Um and so what was great is like Molly and I when we're looking at the rings and everything, and I had my royal ring of course on, but I really liked this one. And I was like, well, do I let it? I was like my current royal ring, I was like it's getting old, like it's a couple of years old, I replace it like every couple of years with a new one. Like since 2011. I was like, because I'm
That's funny.
insane. And I laughed and I go, Molly, it's like, well, if I change it, I go, I just hope that, you know, their marriage doesn't break up on my account because I stopped wearing their engagement ring.
I doubt that
I know.
seriously.
It's like my only superstitious thing. So I was like,
That's hilarious. Oh
yeah.
my
So
goodness.
I'm
Well,
like,
they're very pretty. I feel
thank
like I
you.
have earrings that would go with that, with your new
Oh
royal.
yeah? Oh nice.
Yes,
So
very good.
which tea did you choose today?
Oh, that's funny. I was going to start with that question too.
Oh.
I'm going with Taylor's of Harrogate Scottish breakfast tea.
Oh, nice. So I'm
Yes.
going with your Lady Londonderry that you sent to me a little bit
Really?
ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll have to show you what I did. So this isn't a super special teapot, but I did hit it on the faucet when I was washing the other day. Can you see that
That's
that
a
chip?
crown.
Huh?
It has a crown.
It does, but it's like just but I'm saying it wasn't but the spout, I chipped the spout.
Oh, oh, see, just don't tell anybody.
I know, right?
I love it.
So I'm right now I'm seeing how it pours. This is the first time I've used it since it
Sideways.
broke. Sure is a little messy. Just poured
Yeah,
it.
it might be. It might
So
be.
it's an at-home teapot. It's not a tea party teapot.
No, right? Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm going to show off again just for the viewers
Yes.
that beautiful. This is from
I
the
will.
historic royal palaces. And Amy has the
Matching
tea
like
tin, the
yes.
cookie tin. I'm sorry, the biscuit tin.
Yeah, oh you're right. Yeah, a biscuit
The
tin.
biscuit tin. And this is a teacup my mother picked up in at the Tower of London in England in 2016 and
Yes.
has now made its way to me along with the other stash of teacups that
Yes.
belong to my grandmother who brought quite a few of them over from England
Right.
back in the 50s
That's so
to share
cool.
with the family. And I've added my own to it. But yeah, this is a first for me. So
That's
cheers.
amazing. Yay. Cheers. Oh, I know. So here we have to freeze and smile so I can take a screenshot later of our for our YouTube.
Hold
Ready?
on. Hold on.
Ready? Okay. That should be long
Okay.
enough that I'll be able to grab it. Because usually
Awkward.
I know usually I'm trying to like pause it and it's like we're like right in the middle of saying something and like we
I have tried to
we
find that
move too
picture.
fast.
Yes, I know. And then we just get it and like my eyes are like,
I know.
or
I
so.
try so hard. I'm like, I think, okay, I think this one, I think this one will work. Or I try to do
Hilarious.
ones where we're like laughing or doing something, have a
Exactly.
funny look on our face. Um,
Exactly. So
so
you're drinking Lady Londonderry, and how
I
do you
am.
like that one?
I haven't had it in a while, so let me see. I do like it. So this is one that we had back in the days. of college when Molly and I had our Thursday night tea times for co-ed.
Oh, nice.
Um, and her sister Melanie, Nate always called this gummy bear tea. She thought it tasted like gummy bears.
I remember
I
you
suppose if you
mentioned
put enough,
that.
yeah, I suppose if you put enough sugar in it, I can kind of get it, but like it's
Yeah.
not super gummy bear.
It doesn't seem to sway in the favor of any particular
Yeah, it's like
fruit
night and light.
or
Yeah.
flower.
Mm-hmm.
It just has, there's a sweet quality to it that I can't quite put my finger on. And I think I told you I went to a tea room not far from here and they had repackaged it, put a few extra sunflower
Oh yeah.
petals in it and called it Lady London to make it
Oh,
their own. But it was still the same tea. It
right,
was still
right.
very much the same tea.
Well, that's awesome. Let's see. Let me pull up just to make sure. I'll try to loosely see in case anybody comments.
Okay.
I did tell Mumsy that we were gonna be on today around
Hi,
10.
Mumsy.
So we'll see if she's watching.
She's
So
watching.
someone's watching, so we're gonna guess
I'm
it's
waiting for
Mumsy.
that thumbs up.
I know.
That we usually get. Oh my goodness. So we could start off with tea party business because I know you have
Yes.
much to share. I have a few things of my own to share. Um,
And then we have my box to get to. The
oh
box
yeah,
you sent me. Yes.
yes, the box that I sent Amy.
Yes.
That if you want, I don't know, where do you want to start? You want to start with
Yeah.
that?
Let's start with the box. Yeah, let me grab
Okay,
it.
and
It's
I'll give
right.
it a quick preface. So my
Yeah,
parents
you
have
give a
recently
preface.
moved
Yeah.
into an assisted living facility. And my siblings and I have had to go into my parents' house and clear everything out. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am not somebody who hides my emotions well, and I found it emotionally excruciating. I felt the nostalgia and the loss of I don't know. I just felt a loss and I felt it acutely. And I just cried through the
Mm,
entire process. The second time that I went back, as I was collecting my things, had to rent the U-Haul to haul everything
right.
back, said goodbye to the house. My parents had built my dad
Hmm.
used to work with wood, and he had built a shed on the back of the house. And I went in one more time, took a big sniff because it smelled like wood, and
Oh,
that's what I
right.
associate with my dad
Right.
and just saying goodbye to the house. It's now on the market. They had an open
Okay.
house over the weekend. We're hoping for buyers, but yeah, it
Okay.
was not an easy process.
Right.
If there is to be a silver lining, is that I have acquired the family heirloom teacups.
Yes. Yes.
Many Royal Albert, a couple of Queen Anne, one Limoges Haviland, things like that. I mean, they're
Right.
so I don't know what will happen to them after me. My boys can grapple with that when I'm gone. But this is one of them that I was able to acquire and happy to have them, love them, use them. I every day, if and I
Hmm.
say that to anybody out there listening, if you have teacups, don't just put them in a box, put them out and
Right.
use them because A, porcelain is the best way to go for the flavor of tea. And
Hmm.
two, there is just, I mean, this is just a
It's just
treat.
so much.
I
Yeah.
don't care if there's water in here. I don't care if you put lemonade in
Right.
here. This is a treat.
It is.
So just
Or
being able to use
wine.
teacups, yes. Yeah, hey, I'm all about it. Cheers, sweetheart.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Where's my Chardonnay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So,
yes, and you were kind enough to share lots of goodies with me. So you sent me a whole box. So first of all, I'll say the Bath and Body Works Bridgerton wallflower and plug. I love it. And I'm not going to show it because I had to plug it in immediately because it's like, this is
oh,
amazing. So it's
okay.
already
I'm so
plugged in.
glad. So
So,
my mom thought I could put that in Jackie's room, and you know that I am not a Bridgerton fan. But my mom does not know anything about Bridgerton, and she saw it, and
I
she's like,
love
"Oh,
it.
he's got to have this." And it was a very sweet thought, and it's a pretty, pretty little. It's a
It's a,
nightlight with
yeah,
a dark teal blue cup,
yes.
and you plug it in, and it looks like it
And a
has
gold.
tea in
Yeah,
it.
it's like a pretty, yeah, it's like a teacup that like we would like. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
teal,
That
light teal and
what
blue.
teacup do I not like?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
fair point. Yes, but it's delightful. So thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely welcome.
And I'm not
Before I just realized I want to add to this.
yes.
So give me 1 second. You start talking. Just start
Okay,
showing.
all right.
Right.
So I'm gonna just start showing stuff. All right. So things that we'll have Nancy talk about. So she sent me this. Let's see. This was a Teton. Yeah. So Queen Elizabeth II. And this is for, let's see. Yeah, as head of state, the monarch undertakes constitutional and representational
Oh,
duties which have
yes.
developed over 1,000 years of history. So very cool.
Yes,
Um, so there's that one, and then you also sent me
I did.
William and Kate.
I did.
Yay!
Now, so that is also sort of a byproduct of my cleaning out my parents' house. So I came home and realized, seriously, we are so materialistic. I don't mean me, my family, although we are. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
society in general. And I was like,
Sure.
there's no way I'm putting my kids through what I just went through. To hold up a T10 with Kate and Will on it, go, but mom probably really loved this. So do we throw it out or does somebody have to take it home with them? I don't
Right.
want them doing that. So I immediately just started cleaning out. I really look at things around here differently. That
Yeah.
doesn't keep me from buying new teacups. But
Right.
or
But they
things.
can donate those to a budding tea business.
I could.
I meant they
Some of
can't. They
them.
can, not you. Yeah,
That's
you
true.
enjoy
That's
them for yeah.
yes, until I'm dead, and then you put
Yeah.
them in my casket and
And
take them
then
with me. So,
yeah, that's
mm,
how I've gotten so many of my teacups is people are like, no one in my
that
family wants this, but you would
yes,
appreciate
yes,
it.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, so those have been in my closet, and I thought, what am I doing with these? So I'm so glad somebody else will
Yes.
have them to enjoy.
And I'm realizing that this is also like a little piece of history already because it says Duke and Duchess of Cambridge,
Oh, that's
and
very
they're now the
true.
Waleses.
All right, I want it back.
I'll send it right back as soon as I send
Sure,
those.
she will.
As soon as I send those teas to you.
Mm-mm. Well, you
Okay.
have to do that because we have to have a tea tasting
Yes,
next time.
I know we do. So then we have Tower Bridge, my favorite, and the little picture frame. So is this your mom's?
That was my mom's, and she bought that in London.
Love it.
And there is a picture of my mom and me and my sister. I can't remember if we handed our phone to someone or if it was a selfie.
Mhm.
But what's funny is, in order for us to be displayed properly in that photo or in that frame, it had to be upside down. And that's just how my quirky mother can be
Oh,
sometimes. So
that's
there was
hilarious.
the picture frame upside down with the picture of us
Oh, that's
right
great.
side up in it. So it didn't block because I think it was at
Right, because
Big Ben
otherwise
or
the buildings would be like on the
right in the
bodies.
face,
Yeah, on the face.
something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
So, yeah,
hilarious.
so I'm like, well, again, these are things that I don't need. My husband does not want me displaying all kinds of London things all over. If I
Right.
believe me, if I could have a whole Union Jack
Right.
room,
I
I'd
say I don't have anybody holding me back
I
here.
know. I know. So yeah, so I thought, well, I'm not just letting anybody, Amy, I'm sure Amy can find something to put in this.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I mean I
Good.
have like a whole display of tea tin, like I have a shelf of tea tins. So okay, so then you got me this cool tea towel.
That was my mom's.
Yeah, and
And I don't know where the Empress tea room is, but it's never been used. It's lovely.
it is and it has the a scone recipe on it, which is
Yes,
very
it does.
cool. I haven't seen that
Yes.
before. And it's a recipe to make 35 scones
Interesting.
because I guess if you run
Interesting.
a tea room under
Well,
your
there you
women, you're
go.
gonna make
That's
35
true.
scones. Okay, and then so I know you did send me. Okay, let me see which ones these are. Okay, so you
So
sent
much. I
me
sent
two
her so
sets of
much.
magnets, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for those who can't see, Westminster Abbey, and then
Which I have.
this says the world famous Harrods.
Yes.
Yes, ooh, ooh,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then I know there's another set of magnets in here because I looked at them all yesterday. Okay, so
She
then
looks
those.
like she's just opening them all up for the
I
first time.
know. Well, so I have. So here's Shakespeare's Globe
Shakespeare's
Theater.
Globe.
We
Hmm.
have the Crown Jewels,
Crown Jewels. Yes, that one's
right?
falling. You may need to put a little glue behind that, but yeah.
Oh, that's all right.
Doing okay?
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Oh,
It's fine.
good. Good, good,
Yeah.
good.
We have Burton on the Water, Cotswolds,
Oh, that was lovely.
which
Yeah, that area was so lovely.
I feel like I'm gonna have to find out. So, like, you know how I've been there a good handful of times, and I don't always remember where I've been.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'll say the Cotswolds have never thought it's never stayed in my mind as like I've been there. But for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, when I saw the word Burton on the Water, I was like, have I? Have I been
Hmm.
there?
They call it the Venice of the little Venice of England or something like
That
that.
does sound familiar.
Because there's a stream that runs all the way through
Right.
and little bridges and stuff like that. I don't think you could really compare it to Venice. I've
Right.
not been to Venice, but I've seen pictures of Venice. I'm not sure that
It's
you
not the
really do
exact
that.
same thing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It was lovely. I do remember I arrived with my mom and sister, and my mom would immediately go into the gift shop and spend like her whole time in a gift shop. I'm like, I didn't come here to see a gift shop.
Right.
So I ran off. It was lunchtime. I got fish and chips in this tiny little place on a side street. Very different from the United States because I could see over on the counter on the side there was little packets of mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, some salt, and vinegar.
Yeah.
So he gives me my fish and chips, and so I walked over to
Yeah.
get the packets of ketchup or whatever, and he goes, excuse me, you have to pay for those." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?
Oh,
What?
you have to pay for
Should
the
be free
packets.
where we come
Oh,
from."
right. Right.
Yeah, no, you had to pay. So pull out, and now I'm really embarrassed, and I'm
Right.
trying.
Right.
Okay, now which one? Which
Right.
one is
Right.
it?
Right.
What?
Right. Yeah. It's like how many? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh,
goodness.
yes. So I sat outside, scalded my tongue on that, fresh out of the
Yeah.
boiler.
Super hot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, super hot. And I walked around Burton on my own for an hour. It was lovely. I came across this 400-year-old church. I
Oh,
mean,
nice.
seriously, heaven.
What a young church.
What a young church, exactly. Exactly. The one I go to here is built in
I
1985.
love it. That's amazing. So I got, and then
My
and then we
goodness.
have Tower Bridge again. My like favorite,
I know it
my
is.
favorite structure.
Yes.
And then okay, so now you have to tell me. I'm bringing out the teacup.
Oh.
Okay, so first let me get out the saucer, and
Oh, I know which one you're talking. Okay, that took me a
yes,
moment.
with the little
I've forgotten
feet.
everything I've sent. That was a jam cram packed
Yeah, I
box, and
bet.
I'm so glad everything made
Oh
it
my
there
goodness.
safely.
So it's adorable. It has little feet.
It does. And
And
the
then
handle,
again,
show the handle, which is
oh,
really, really
you're right.
interesting, right?
Yes, so the handle does like a little two thing up here.
Yes,
Yeah,
where it comes
a little silver
together,
point.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
that's so cute. It's
Yes.
adorable. So I saw that it was designed, well, it had the little thing in it, the
There's a
little
little
thing.
card that goes with it. Some woman who designed it, yes.
Yes. So where do you know where that came from, or is it just one
I
of your mom's
don't.
collections?
And I think it was even written on the card, as my mom does. She catalogs a lot
Oh,
of
you're
things.
right. You know what?
Her friend
It does
Donna
say it on the
Belter.
back.
Yes.
Okay, ready what it's from? It's from Shrimp Fest, May 2004.
Because what
From
shrimp doesn't have teacups?
Donna
Belter.
Belter. Yep,
Yes,
there you
Donna
go.
Belter.
That's adorable.
So,
So
yeah.
that's awesome. Also, what a great time. May 2004. I was graduating high school.
Oh my goodness. So see, that's its
So it's my
story.
graduation cup.
Yeah, so it went from the shrimp fest to my mother's house, gifted from a beloved friend.
Right.
And now I'm sending it to my beloved friend, somebody who will get use out of it. That will be a conversation piece,
Absolutely.
when you put it on the table and everybody's like,
Oh,
oh, this is
yes. It's
interesting. So,
amazing. It's
yes.
so cute. Thank you.
And then there's at least one more thing in
Yeah,
that
it's like
box.
what? Yeah, it's like what is? Oh wait, I got the Bridgerton thing out. I think that was. Right? Oh wait, no. I pulled it out of the tea tin. Hold on.
It was a big.
Okay, hold on. I took that out. Okay, little flags. Little
Oh,
flag
yes.
keepers.
Yes. I found those in cleaning out my closet. I'm like, I've never used them. Put those in the scones, put them in a cake, put them
Yeah,
in something. Something tells me Lady Amy will get more
I will
use out of
use them.
that than I ever did.
Thank you.
Yes, if you ever do like strawberries and cream,
Oh
put one in the
yeah.
top, for like Wimbledon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes for a nice little something. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Um,
There's one more big thing in that box.
I do. What did I miss?
It's a big centerpiece. It's a teacup and some. Tell me, I said it had to have been in there.
I was like, this is the teacup and
No,
saucer I got. Okay.
it
There's
has to be with you
oh,
because I
you
don't
know
have
what?
it
You
here.
know what? Sorry, I already put it on my shelf to display it.
Oh,
So it's like, wait a second. Okay, yeah, sorry.
It's
It's
a
in the other room
teacup.
now.
It's
Yeah,
here. I can try to model it.
yeah,
The
right.
teacup.
Oh, here, I can do it with the
Oh,
empty. I'll do it with the empty cup.
yes,
So
exactly. The
it's
sauce,
like,
something like that's
yeah,
what it was. Yes, yes, yes.
right, right. Because
And
it
what's pouring out of it are flowers, and there's a stamp.
flowers.
Oh, yes, and
Yes,
pearls,
yes.
stuff like that. So it makes for a lovely
It
centerpiece.
is beautiful. Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
you're very
That's so
welcome.
funny. You're like, did I not send that? I was like,
I know I did because
yeah,
I
I know. I
did
was
not
like,
keep that.
just kidding. It's already up on display.
So maybe you could find out how to make it, get some
Yeah.
of your less favorable teacups and turn them into centerpieces for your tea parties because
Yes.
they're
I've
very
looked
beautiful.
at, so I've looked, who was it? There was someone, I feel like I was talking to someone about those types of centerpieces before, and we were talking about, we had looked it up or whatever, and it's like, I don't know about yours in particular, but the ones that we were looking at is basically like a, probably like a cheap metal spoon or whatever that they basically like glue to hold it, and then the
Yes,
flowers cover everything so you don't
yes,
realize that's what's holding it up.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And I know you
So,
can find that on Pinterest.
oh yes, yeah. So
You
that's
can find
awesome.
lots of things on Pinterest, and I'm going
Yes.
to bring back that point when we start talking about Meghan Markle's show.
Ha! Okay. Okay. So first, I know. Okay. So first, tea business.
Tea business.
Okay.
You go.
Okay. So I'm just gonna rattle them off. Okay.
Barrel. Just
Yeah. So, tea business. I have uh on April 23rd. I have at the Morse Museum of American Art. I have a special tea that they've hired me for there. Um, and then I have a special tea that is being planned for the wedding industry people
right.
in June here. That's at Dr. Phillips' house. So that's what I was posted and sent you pictures like immediately. But
Yes, yes, I did get
um,
those. Yes.
yes, and then I am excited because I have an or not an interview. I have a meeting with the the powers that be, the ladies at the Howie Mansion at Howie in the Hills, and that is Tuesday. Oh, tomorrow. That's tomorrow's Tuesday. It's tomorrow morning. Um, and that's a cool historic home that like I visited and met with someone there like pre-pandemic, and then pandemic, whatever, everything happens.
Right.
So
Yeah, right.
so these are I think new connections, and they are through the Wedding Venue Map network. So we're like, part of the same family.
Right,
And
right.
so,
Excellent.
yeah, so we're going to be talking and figuring out what we're going to do there. And then I'm going to be setting up just for cream tea at Acres of Grace Family Farms. So for their Mother's Day celebration, that's going to be like a big thing. I'm going to
Nice.
be set up part of the time, offering just scones and tea and jam and clotted cream. So you can pop in, and it's going to be, I'm putting on the flyer, we're finalizing it today, but basically on the flyer, it's like, uh, reservations encouraged but not required.
Very
So, and
good.
basically just asking people shoot me a text, like, because I feel like that's how like everybody does birthday RSVPs. That's how like everybody.
Sure,
So it's like
sure. Yeah.
just give me so I can have like a loose head count of like who I at least make
Right.
sure I have enough for at least you guys, kind of
Right.
thing. Um, so that is all the tea business.
That's excellent though. A new
Yeah,
venue
it's a
is
lot
going
more
up for
than
you.
usual
That's yes,
than
more
previously.
exposure, things like that.
Yeah,
Cream cheese is the way to go because scones are easy.
I know.
You know, you and I know how to make a pot of tea,
Yes,
serve tea, and smile brightly and have the conversation
I know,
and
right?
yeah, and lead the crowd. Absolutely. So
Yes,
I don't recall if in our last tea, if we
yes.
discussed what I was doing. I feel like you and I just
Think,
had a conversation on the phone when I
yeah.
was telling you about
But
it.
I
Wasn't that
know, yeah, I know you. Okay, yeah. So I know you have one, at least one party to announce. But I think when we had tea last time, you were about to do another tea at the museum.
at the museum?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody wants May. Everybody everybody wants May.
It is.
Um,
It seems to be like it's a Mother's Day May thing, like the
I
whole
really
month.
think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it's springtime, and you think pastels and beautiful
Right.
teacups, and why not? So yeah, so I was teaching a religious education class at my church, fourth
Mm-hmm.
graders, um, and actually back further than that, the church puts out a bulletin, and a friend of mine sends me a
Oh, yes, we
snapshot
did
of what was
talk.
in the corner.
Yes,
Yes.
we did talk on phone with this. Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, I think this was just a phone conversation
It
you and I
was.
had.
Yeah.
Amy and I usually talk, save all our conversation, and then just
For the
everything,
whole world to hear.
for the camera. Yes. But I was very excited about this. So the dames of the church, I love that they call themselves that. When
That's
I,
what they call it.
give me 15 more years and I'm
That's
going to be a
amazing.
dame.
Of course. Yes.
Yes. So the dames of nativity are hosting a high tea.
Hmm.
And so my friend sends me this, snapshot, and I said, "Well, goodness, I need to go just to teach them all that it's afternoon tea they're having, if nothing else." Irks me to no end. Um, so that was a Monday afternoon. So Tuesday I go in to teach and I take the sisters. We have two nuns. One of them is as cute as a button. She comes up to here on me, Amy. You
Oh,
know I'm
oh
not
my
tall
God.
anyway. Sister
Yeah.
Mary, she is like put her in her pocket and she's adorable. So I hand them my card. I said, I understand you guys are doing a tea. I said, this is what I do. They said, what do you mean this is what you do? They're from Italy too.
Oh, okay.
I said, I actually have a small tea party business. And they're like, do you know Kim Delott, who's running it? And I said, no, I don't. Well, they pulled me out of class, which is entirely unheard of, just to meet her. And Kim is just looking, oh my gosh, I didn't know anybody did this. I said, there are very few of us who are daft enough to try. And and she said, I'm calling you tonight. Well, she actually called me the next day. Lovely woman. Um, and we talked about things. And the first thing she says to me, she says, I know it's not, I didn't even say anything. I did not
Yeah.
prompt. I know what we're having is actually afternoon tea. It's not high tea, but this is what the Danes want to call it. And I'm like, Kim, I love you
Yeah.
already. And she used to work at a tea room in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, she gives me the whole ins and outs of all this. She's expecting, as she said to me, 240 people to attend this 3 hour long event. The first hour will be in the gymnasium. They are giving me my booth for free, which
Yay.
isn't much of a cost anyway. But
But
she says, I
still,
want you to talk. I want you to sell, do what you
yes.
do. So I'm going to go back to my gift boxes. I'm going to make 1 dozen
Ooh,
gift
yeah.
boxes with the teacups and the teas and the
Hmm.
pretty little spoons and things like
Yeah.
that, and hope that they sell it. Will be the day before Mother's Day.
Hmm.
Um, it turns out too that so she came to my last museum tea to
Hmm.
see what I do. It was
Oh, good.
wonderful. And in conversation, and I don't know if I told you this part of it, we were talking and she said something, well, because my husband used to be a Marine. And
Oh,
I said, oh my gosh. I said, well, my husband used to fly helicopters to the Navy. She said, no kidding. My husband used to fly jets for, blah, blah. And I
yeah.
said, well, I said, but more than that, I said, my son is a Marine Corps officer now down at Quantico.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
goes, right now? I said, yes. She goes, so's my son.
What?
I'm like, are you kidding? She said, no. She goes, do you know what company is in? I'm like, no, and I should. And she said, when's he graduate? I said, late April. She goes, my son's graduating in May. She goes, he was out in the field all last week. I said, so is my son. Of course, that's all these guys do anyway.
I
They go
love
out in the
it.
field,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they
Sure.
play Marine. So I immediately text my son. This is before anybody else shows up at the tea
Yeah,
party.
yeah.
And Stephen comes back. He goes, yeah, I know, Mark. I graduated high school with him. He was in my company at the beginning of the year until they rearranged everything. He's
Oh,
graduating 3 weeks after me. And I'm like, shut the front
oh my
door. So I'm like,
goodness.
Kim. And she goes,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. She lives a 5 minute drive up the street from me.
That's wild.
And we've been going to the same church for how many years and have never run in the same
Holy,
circle.
oh my goodness.
I know. So she is wonderful. I
Yeah.
love her. I think we have just bunches in common. And she called me last week and said, I had a meeting with the powers that be over this event.
Hmm.
First of all, they did not care for the creme de la Earl Grey. They just want to go with plain Earl Grey, which I was like, it's very unsophisticated
Yeah, you're
taste
like,
going on out
yeah,
there.
you're fine,
How can you
whatever.
deny that one?
Yeah.
Anyway, so she said, however, they want you to be the front runner. We want you to open up the whole kit and caboodle, and you will present at the beginning, what do you need? How much time do you need?
Oh my goodness.
I know.
That's
I'm so
awesome.
excited. So, and I think I told you, even if she's off by 100 people, if she's off by 150 people,
Right.
it's
Yeah. It's
still a
still a
fortune of
large
people.
party. Yeah.
Yeah. I then got a text from somebody also again right up the street. She's holding a tea party for her 9-year-old daughter,
Oh,
wants me to
yes.
do it. Again, cream tea, one specialized tea. She's just going to do lemonade and water on the side.
Beautiful.
mini scones, not the full size.
Yep.
We are starting off with hat making,
Oh,
and
yes.
then we will do the tea party, and then we will do tea party bingo.
Oh
And
my
then the
gosh.
kids will do their thing while I clean up, and it should be an easy shot. And I'm using the darling little paper cup,
Yes. Yes, yes,
um,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
the cups and saucers.
Right.
So
That
it's
are like
throw out at
really
the end of the day.
decorative.
It's
Yeah,
no
they
coming
look like pretty
home.
little teacups, but they're
Oh, they're
yeah.
adorable. They're
Yeah.
darling. I've had a closet full since I tried to do the online tea tastings
Yes.
and online tea parties. So I have all of that ready to
I think
use.
did you
And
send me a couple at one point?
I
Because I
probably
have
did.
okay,
I'm
because I
quite
have
sure I
like
did.
two and two plates because
Yes.
they're part of Piper's play kitchen still. So
Oh,
like
how
they're still
lovely.
in yeah, they're still in good shape.
Mm. Don't let them up too much and, dry them off and
Exactly. Yeah.
and they work. So,
Yeah.
and then the museum called me and said, can you do the walkthrough tea tasting that we do? And that's going to be immediately after the tea for 240 people at the
Wait, the
church.
same as in same
The
day?
same day, that
What?
evening. Yes, I
You
know.
you crazy?
Yes, yes, but I'm not serving tea at the tea for 240. I'm giving a presentation.
True. Oh, right, right,
I'm selling at the beginning, and then I'm, for the first hour, and
right,
then when they
right,
start off the actual tea party, I'm going to present for 20 to 30 minutes.
right. Okay.
I'm finished.
Are they borrowing any of your teacups or anything?
No,
No.
but since I now have a plethora and a new stash
Yeah.
of things, not that I'm taking any of those to my tea
Yeah,
party.
yeah, yeah.
I went through a few that I'm like, well, this one's missing a saucer, and this one. She says, I'll take anything you're willing to give up.
Oh,
She
nice.
does not, in
Because
discussion with them,
like,
she said, we don't know who, with that many people, I know it's a church
yeah,
group, but you never know who you can trust. She said, people, you just don't know what they're going to walk away with.
right, right, right.
And it's too difficult to police. She said, so we don't want to take anything that,
That's
belongs to you
smart.
that you may not get back. So I
Right,
appreciate
right.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's very nice. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I'm in a mad rush to try to
So you're,
get
yeah.
a lot of supplies and things ready.
Right. So we are both proof that yes, springtime is apparently tea time for
Apparently.
people.
Absolutely.
So what day is that for you? Do you have like
Well,
a
so the
schedule?
girls' tea party is Star Wars Day. It's May 4th. May the
Okay,
4th
yes,
be with
yes.
you.
Uh-huh.
And that's on a Sunday. So 6 days later, on May 10th, is my back to back. Jose is
Okay,
going to New York for his niece's first communion. So I have to get care and babysitter for Jackie.
I gotcha.
So before we go, I forgot, I found these in my mother's dining room bureau
Yeah,
as well. And I'm gonna have to put this on. I don't know what you use these for. I don't know if they were like plate coasters or
yeah,
what,
really.
but if you can see this, Fleet
Oh my
Street.
goodness. Yes, I see
And
it.
and it says 1831,
Awesome.
St. Paul's Cathedral from the South Bank.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I know, what would I use these
I
for?
think,
I
yeah, I was
don't
like, are
know.
they the sort of placemats?
I think so,
Yeah,
but they're
that's
hard.
so
They're
cool.
like cork,
Yeah,
enameled
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
laminated, I should say. Yes. So there's
Oh my
Trafalgar
gosh,
Square.
that's so cool. Do you know where your mom, did she have them displayed anywhere or you just
No,
found them?
they've like a lot of the stuff we found hiding in
Wow.
place. Um, Regent Street.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I
Oh my
think this is
goodness.
pre-Piccadilly because
That's
Regent
just
was
it. That looks like
connected.
real, yeah, like
Yes.
new build.
Yes, it does. This is 1830. This just says the city,
The city. That's awesome.
whatever that means. This is the monument. This is the monument to the Great Fire.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
The Bank of England, which still stands.
Oh, that's awesome.
Uh-huh. And last but not least, the Mansion House. I don't know what the Mansion House
The
is.
mansion house.
Yeah, we need to look
Interesting.
that one up.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's really
So
cool. I
I
feel
was
like
like,
maybe
that might
they're, yeah, maybe
be
they're
what
meant
to
to
use it
be
for, but I'm not giving
placed.
them to anybody.
Yeah, I was like, maybe they're meant to be placemats, but you could easily just hang them on the wall, right?
I
Like
think
just have
so.
like a
Oh, easily.
collection
Absolutely.
on the
Yes,
wall.
for sure. All right, I've talked enough. Your turn.
Okay.
My tea's getting cold.
Well, we both, I know. Well, we both talked. I've been drinking the whole time. We've been, we've both been talking. So, okay. So let's get into, because I think it's probably going to be our biggest topic. Let's just go ahead and talk about Meghan, uh,
Yes.
Meghan Sussex, not Meghan Markle. Meghan Sussex is
I have a question on
what I
that one
know. Yeah,
already,
we'll
but go
talk about,
ahead.
yeah, Meghan's, cooking series on Netflix called With Love, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with
Yes.
the new company title of her lifestyle brand, As Ever, now, which was formerly American Riviera Orchard, for
Right.
those of you following along.
I think people lost track and lost
Those of
interest
you,
a
yeah,
long
keeping
time
up, yeah, right,
ago.
yeah, write it down. So
Right.
I mentioned to you, Nancy, that I would tell you this. So Jack Royston of
Yes.
the Royal Report with Newsweek, the podcast I listened to, um, he pointed out with the naming of it, where he was like, "Why wouldn't you then call it like As Ever Megan?" Or like the two sound too similar, but they don't actually match, right? So it's like your
Right.
show's With Love Megan, your company's just As Ever, like make it As Ever Megan, or like you
Yes.
know,
Yes. With love, Megan. As ever, Megan. Which one
right?
is it? They both sound like, the closing of a letter.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm like, okay, so you have actual notes written down. I'm gonna pull up a list of the episodes because I need to remind myself who was in each episode because that will jog my memory of my comments. So you can start with what is your, okay, how about
My
overall?
overall, it's an enjoyable watch. It's very California. I'd like to end on a positive because I have a litany of negatives. And anybody else, you go out there and she's being ripped to shreds for a lot of things. The biggest thing is that she opens up the bag of peanut butter filled pretzels and puts them in another plastic
And
bag and labels them.
I will argue on her side of that, like until I'm blue in the face. I'll just
Well,
warn you.
that's the haters. That's the haters,
Oh
trying
yes,
to
it's an easy
nitpick.
thing to hate on.
Um, because there is the whole, because in the later episode where she was doing the wontons, and she said, "I'm gonna forgive. We need to forgive ourselves for not making the wonton shells by scratch."
Yes, yes.
And she's like, and her friend is like, we're working moms, we're busy, we're doing some of this by scratch. I'm not, okay, yes, I'm supporting her decision, but I also
Right.
want to say this is not a new concept as it is being presented. There was the
Yeah.
Barefoot Contessa's, it wasn't Barefoot Contessa, it was what's her face, but it was, it
I'm
was,
not sure if
oh,
I know all the different. I
it's
don't know.
escaping
Rachel
me now,
Ray,
but
she's somebody.
it's
I don't know
it's
cooking
like
people.
half homemade. It's like, oh, I can't believe I can't remember what it's called. But basically, it was like, yes, some of this is homemade and some of it isn't.
Right.
And that's
And
how we
that's okay.
roll now.
Right, right. And so
So,
I feel like Megan's, yeah, so she's just doing more of that, but people want to find anything to
well,
to
it
go
was the
after.
whole, they were taking the environmentalist approach, that she and Harry, sometimes have taken a stand on tisk tisk, on the
Sure,
whole
sure.
environment. But here you are throwing one paper bag in or plastic bag into the environment just to use another.
Right, right, right.
So that's
I'm
what they're
Yeah,
criticizing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, she could have
Um,
put it into a little uh, a jar or something. She likes her jars.
Possibly,
But
yes, she does. She does like her jars.
yeah.
Um,
But I will say, but with that, like, because I was explaining it to Trevor, and I said, I was like, with the people who are like, okay, so environmentally, fine. If you want to pick at it, fine, environmentally. The ones that I see that are making like, parody videos of it, they don't
mhm.
care. It's not about the sustainability, like, it's not about the environment. It's because they just think that she's like trying to pretend that she made something on her own, like, and they're
Yes,
like, take these, like, store bought and like put it in this bag. And then now, like, everybody, and it was like,
yes,
she's not pretending that she made them. I was like, it's called packaging. Literally, like any marketing or
yes,
anything that you buy in the store, like if you buy a gift basket, a gift hamper,
right. A
right?
gift
Like
of paper.
it's in the packaging. Like I will say I struggle with this because for me, I want if there's stuff like I don't do well with spreading it out, right? Like I don't like
Mhm.
fluffing it out. To me, I'm just like that's just like trash or recycling. Like you're just fluffing it out too much. Um, but that is the way that people buy, right? They buy like by
Yes,
seeing it looks
yes,
better, it's
hmm
presentation.
yes,
That's literally all she's doing. And again, it was for, you know, um, she's not selling it. She's not reselling it and claiming it's hers. It is just a bag of treats for her house guest.
And she didn't do the entire, did she do the entire bag? Because I
No,
don't think she did
no.
the entire bag. So she's taking some
Yeah,
of it
she
out.
exactly. Yeah, she did like a
Yes.
snack amount, right? Like,
Yeah. Like you
yeah,
do for your kids.
right,
So yeah, I see where the haters want to hate
hmm
because they just don't like her.
right.
Um, I do think there are some things that could be criticized.
Yeah,
Nobody has a garden like that. She, that's not even her garden. So
it's
she's got a set, but I don't blame her. I don't really don't blame her and
yeah,
Harry.
yeah.
Harry really trying to keep those kids under wraps
Yeah, yeah.
after
I
what Harry's been
imagine,
through.
so I imagine though that she has a very similar garden. I'm guessing
I,
she's
I do
used to that
too.
kind of garden. Yeah.
Yes.
But
And
but yeah,
yeah,
she's not tending, like she's not the one tending to it and keeping it growing all the time, right? Like
correct. Correct.
yes, that is a lot of garden
That
to
is a lot of
be
gardening. And she's like, just go to your farmer's market. I don't know a lot of people that live near a farmer's market either. I mean, it's the grocery store or nothing for most people. Um,
right. And the
but
farmers
it is,
market's like a whole sorry,
yeah.
another pain in the, depending on
Yeah,
if
and
your
they're
weekend
upright.
schedules, right?
Yes.
Like,
And we want to support our local farmers, and I'm not saying don't, but
right,
they're more expensive too. And in this
right,
economy, so here you are looking again, people who don't have that kind of garden available to them,
right,
as well as, farmers market kind of pricing.
right.
Um,
But on the
and I,
same, oh, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
no,
I
please.
was gonna say in the same on the same topic though, I did like that she had that one lady who was like started the farm to table movement in the 70s, right?
Yes,
Started that restaurant.
on her last episode, I'm going to approach that one too in
Sure.
a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I like that she had her on there and they talked about so like, that not everybody can have a garden like that, right? And that lady was saying like she tries to tell people grow where you can, if it's in your windowsill or whatever. And like I was talking to Trevor about this and I said, it's like, that's fine. That's a fair like philosophy, right? It's great. I said, but also I said to think that like what you grow, like that's cheaper than what's in the stores. I go, but the investment into the garden, like there's money and dirt and like plants and whatever, right? And like
Mhm.
and time. And so it's
Oh
like,
my gosh,
and
so
you're not
much.
even
Yes.
guaranteed that you're gonna be able to grow anything if you're like me. So like yeah, so it's like, well, it's a for those who can, great. Like do it, rooftop, whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, for the most part. So I did like that she did mention, well, I guess it was when she was talking about flowers, like just your bunch from like the grocery store or whatever, right? Like
Hmm.
you have to go out and buy special things. But
Yeah,
and
and
I
the flowers
liked
she's buying have got to cost, $75. And
oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
ain't
yeah.
spending $75 on flowers.
Yes,
That's
when
not
she
my
went
budget
to
either.
when
So,
she went to the actual florist and was buying them like by the thing, out of the buckets, right? But
hmm.
then there was one episode where she went and bought just the bouquet from the grocery store and like rearranged it
Right,
um
right.
to show like you can just do that. But I liked that she did comment though. She said it a few times, but in that one specifically she mentioned like how she grew up on fast food. So many people do fast food. She's like, and I get it, like it's affordable, right? Like
Yeah.
and so I was like, so I like I feel like she made, I don't know, comments that still connected to at least how she grew up and how many people still live, right?
Yes, right.
Like so I was yeah, okay with that. And I want to say overall there's plenty of things that I'll say, yeah, I could be nitpicky about. But the funniest thing, honestly, most surprising thing to me is that I felt like her personality and everything was just so like I don't know, sweet. It was just so like lovely. I thought like the way that she behaves, I was like, oh, like I don't know. I guess maybe that rubs some people the wrong way, but for me, I was like,
Well,
oh, she doesn't seem like she's like putting on an act. I don't know. I think she's just like this.
and I agree. I think, but we do have to remember she is in front of a camera. We are all different when a camera is
I'm
rolling.
sure. Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
you and I,
my
right?
house is clean, my
We're
makeup is on,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, we're yeah.
and I'm not yelling at my kids, and
Right,
I'm not going to do that when the camera's rolling here.
right.
Um,
But your
So
personality can still shine through it. Like
exactly.
you just put your
So
best
I'm
foot
okay.
forward.
So first I want to say Sandra Lee, if you can see that. Sandra Lee
Oh,
semi
that's who it
homemade.
is? Okay.
Yeah. And she would have that semi homemade. So she'd open up a can of something, but
Right.
then she'd prop this up over here. So one of the criticisms I saw or listened to yesterday, and it's somebody who's an absolute hater.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt, but she's like, did you see that fruit charcuterie, if you want to call it that, board of the rainbow? And she says she makes this for her kids for breakfast
Hmm.
before school. She says, my kids are lucky if they get a piece of toast. It is
Right.
6 o'clock in the morning. I would have to get up at 4 in the morning, go to the grocery store, buy all these fruits,
Right.
come home, wash them, peel them, cut them into tiny bite-sized pieces, make them in this beautiful rainbow. She says, I'm not doing that first thing in the morning. I'm like, that's a good point. But it's not about that. It
Right.
really isn't about when you're serving. I mean, you do this for a kid's party, which is I thought that's what she was
Yeah.
doing for a party. Does she do it for her kids in the morning?
She acted like only like on the, but she acted like for her kids in the morning. It was just the plate version.
Yeah, she
It was
said you
just
can just
like
do this in the plate.
right.
But
I don't
the
think she made
hatery just went so far as to
sure.
say, yeah, blah,
And
blah, blah.
and I'll say the word you're looking for that she said a million times is crudité.
There could
The
have been a drinking
crudité part.
game
Yeah.
between that and the I always do this. I always do
Sure.
this. I always do this. And I'm like, I don't think you always anything. I don't think
I
you've
know.
been doing it long enough. Now, maybe I'm wrong. And I know that sounds like a criticism.
Sure.
Maybe it is, but I always do this, making it sound like she's been doing this for years
Right. I
and she's an
yeah.
expert on it. And I'm just like, you always would. You're
That's
doing
so
this for
funny
the show.
because
You always. Yeah.
because
Sorry.
to me I'm like I just hear that as like oh that's just one of her words that she uses for everything. Like, I know people that say like I'm obsessed with this, I'm obsessed with that, I'm obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
it. It's like you're not really like I know what obsession is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yes, you do.
I get the meaning behind your usage of it. That's fine.
Yes.
Like
I think but the whole I always makes it sound like she really is an expert.
oh
This
like
is
you're
what I
trying to
always do.
be right,
Yes.
right.
Trying to make it sound like, and I don't think she's been doing this. A positive for her.
Yeah.
So let's go back to whatever and I'm sorry, I don't remember the woman's name.
That's
The
okay.
last episode, I
Yes,
think
I'll
was
find her
quite
name because I've got the
possibly.
list. Yeah.
Did you not get the impression that was possibly the first episode
Chef
and they
Alice
saved it
Waters.
for the
Okay.
last? They just aired it
No,
last
I didn't get
because
that
they were talking
feeling.
about, she was like, um, and I wish I had written down the line, but something like, how she'd had a year, it had been
Yeah.
difficult and she was anxious to do this. And when she's toasting him and she says, and kicking off to a brand new business. Okay, but this is the eighth episode or whatever episode it
Right,
is.
right.
You've already done this. And I just felt like they saved that and thought that would be a good way to close out. And this is not a criticism. I'm just
Sure.
saying, I think this is what they did when the episode where Harry shows
Like
up and she's like,
the
to a new
editing.
business. And I've really missed being creative. And that struck a note with me because when I became a mom and
Mm-hmm.
everything was about my child
Yeah.
and me running a household, I'd quit my job and I was now a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker. And I tend to be a fairly creative
Yeah,
person
you
and I
are.
miss
Yeah.
being able to do that. And she was never going to be anything particularly special
Hmm.
if she stayed over there, which I
Right.
lament because I wish that they could have worked it out.
Sure.
Um, Harry's not only supportive as he should be, he
Right.
recognizes that his wife is happiest doing this. And when she's happy
Right.
and she's making money for the family,
Right.
then that's just better for their whole family unit. But he is also second. They're
Hmm.
both second. He's second by birth. She was second in pecking order.
That's
And
true.
she was
Right.
never going to be able to outshine. And as an American and as somebody
Right.
who was an actress,
Right.
somebody who likes to have her say and everything else, she was never going to be happy with that. And
Right.
I think Harry could see that. I think they shared that whole I need to be somebody for myself and not
Right.
always the shadow of somebody else. And
Right. Right.
and I've said before, and I applaud Harry, the family unit really does come first. And I love, she says, what was she said, love wins.
Hmm.
Love wins. And for
Right.
them it did.
Right.
And for that, bravo, because they are happy doing
Right.
things. Now, I did make a list of things.
Yes. So I'll say what I thought
Go
from
right ahead.
from the final episode, how they're like, having a brunch to celebrate her new business.
Hmm.
I took that as being like, essentially because they just loosely just came out with the name as ever for
You're
the
right.
the new name,
Hmm.
and they are officially selling stuff now. It's sold out like the first day or whatever. I saw on her Instagram.
Do
At
you
least
think it
their
really
silver
did, or did they
sales.
just do that to really create buzz?
I think it really did. I just don't think that they had that much in inventory. I think that's the
True.
that's the trick.
Right.
It's like if you don't have that much in
True.
stock,
Yes. Yes.
like I'm gonna put in asever.com
And
now.
is it her garden that she's getting from? Who is harvesting and who is
That's
making
the
who's
thing.
doing
I
all
feel
the
like it's
canning?
right. That's why I haven't looked to see how it is. I will say I'm surprised at the what I would consider a low price point for these things. Have you looked at the pricing?
I have not.
So the raspberry spread in keepsake packaging is $14. It has lemon ginger tea, $12. The flour sprinkles are probably the most expensive, and that's $15 for like a jar of flour sprinkles. She has her shortbread cookie mix with flour sprinkles, which is 14. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I was just at a place. I don't know if you guys have Harvest Bread Company down there.
Not that I know of.
Um, so I stopped there to grab a sandwich the other day, and they had a package of four about this big Scottish shortbread cookies. They looked
Hmm.
scrummy. They were about that thick. Okay, so that's a
Okay.
big cookie. And I said, "How much is that?" And he's like, $14. I'm like, I can just go get some Scottish shortbread, a package of six over at where TJ Maxx or someplace
Right,
like that
right.
off the shelf for $3.99.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not paying that.
I know. So what's funny is now that I'm looking through this, it's like it makes so much sense now. I'll just say for the most part, everything that was done on her cooking show, it really was to tie into this business. So she has not only those flour sprinkles, the shortbread cookies, we've got uh wildflower honey with honeycomb, all the different teas that aren't real teas, but herbal stuff.
Oh yes.
Um, her crepe, yeah, a crepe mix. Um, and then of course like the raspberry spread. So like she's got her preserves and whatnot.
Is she
Um,
in her kitchen doing this? I mean, that's my question. Is like, is
it
she
sounds like
harvesting? Is she making?
yeah, it sounds like she was. That's what started it, and now I'm guessing it's maybe whatever her recipe is. Like I don't. I feel like because of what I know of just like food packaging and whatnot and rules and all of that stuff from like when I worked
Hmm.
at Argo Tea and they had the ready to drink bottles and stuff. Like
Okay.
you have to have like a very special facility for that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So I imagine that she probably made all those jars of jam that she sent out to her friends, right?
Yes. Oh,
The
yes. No
50,
doubt.
right?
Yes.
And she was doing the ones like, there on the show. I would be very shocked unless she's working in a special kitchen to make them. I don't know why she would be the one actually producing it all unless it's
I
just
don't
like
see
her
that.
recipe, right?
Yeah. I don't see that happening. I
Right.
don't.
And I think that's fine. Like to me, I'm like, I don't need you to make it all, right? Like I
Right.
get
True.
what you're doing with it now, especially that I look at it, I'm like, oh, we saw like all of this stuff sprinkled throughout the
Hmm.
show. Um,
Right.
but so yeah, so that's I guess that at least makes it a little bit more cohesive as far as like branding goes, because at first it seemed like, what are we doing here? Like a cooking show out of the middle of nowhere. You tried to make jam, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't seem like it was connecting. And now I don't think it's aired yet, but she has a new podcast coming out called Confessions of a Female Founder. And
Right. Oh, that's right. I
I've
forgot
just
about
heard,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've just heard like a sample of it, and or like the little trailer for it, and we'll see. I'll give it like a whirl. It's not even my
Yeah.
kind that I would normally listen to, but because I liked
Yes.
her in the cooking show, I was like, maybe I'll like it. But I feel like that's such a sort of a saturated market as far as women business owners see it, like
Right.
whatever. And with Trevor, I told him, I was like, who was she talking to that like didn't even either didn't have substantial money already before they started their own thing,
Right.
either from a spouse or their previous career or whatever, right? Like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
I don't know if she's talking to anyone, we'll say like who started out on my scale. Right. So I'm like, I don't know how much it will resonate with, I'll say, the average entrepreneur and small, person who's starting up a small business. If she's talking to the types of people that are like her that have essentially lifestyle brands or whatever. Because she had some of the business people on, right, like on her show, the one that makes all
Right.
the skincare. I thought she
Yes.
was really interesting. She was the same one that did the dumplings, I think, or
Oh yeah.
pot stickers. That's what it was,
Which I
pot
totally
stickers.
want to try, which I
Yeah,
just have to
they
say,
looked
I have
great.
always wanted to try the thing with was it baking soda or whatever that they put in there to make them crispy? I'm like, oh my
Oh yeah,
gosh,
what
I did
did
not
they
know
do?
that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember they did put something extra in there. Yeah.
Not to mention I have an Asian market here and I'm ready to go buy all that
Oh
stuff.
yes, because she did say you could buy, yeah,
Yeah,
all those
any of that
things.
stuff at the Asian market. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed, because I would like to try that. And
I
I can't hate her if I'm going out and using her ideas.
Oh
So,
yeah. That's what
you
I'm saying.
know,
I mean, I thought it was very neat. So it's like, whatever. She at least hangs out with or at least as far as who's on the show, right? Like, I think the only other person who's essentially in the acting field was Mindy Kaling. Everyone else was either a friend that happens to do something else. Like I saw one
yeah,
was just listed as like philanthropist or whatever, and I was like, oh great, like I
yeah.
understand what caliber of like what class you're in if that's your title. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, but it's like yeah, or chefs, right? I did really like the ones where she didn't know people ahead of time. I thought
Roy
that was
Choi.
fun. Roy Choi and Alice Waters. She was
Yes.
like so fangirling over Alice Waters. I thought it
She
was
was totally
hilarious.
fangirling over
It
that.
was really
And
funny.
it was funny. And I again, and I felt like that was her Virgin broadcast. I really feel like that was the first
Maybe,
one.
yeah,
Um, and what's the saying that, I start as I mean to go on. And, it was going to be about organics and and
right,
composting and things like that. And I think, she achieved that and that was really good. And the thing with Roy Choi, I really enjoyed that episode because I felt like it wasn't her saying, "Oh, I always do this. It wasn't her in charge.
sure.
She was the second person. She was the sous chef. She was not
Yes.
the
Yeah,
chef."
that was
So,
nice too. Yeah.
and I liked the feel of that. Um,
Yeah, when
you know,
people would come to
and
teach her things, that was kind of cool, right? Because it was the
what's
same thing
that?
with her friend. I said when people came to teach her things, like, because that was the same
Yes.
thing with like Alice
Yes.
Waters and her friend that taught her the pot stickers. It was like,
Absolutely.
she was learning from
Absolutely.
them. So that was, yeah, you're right. That was a nice dynamic. And I like that, like, she and Roy Choi were both, LA kids. And like, so they could talk about different things in LA that they knew, but also they had funny differences where, like, we'll say the funny similarity, which I did resonate with me when they're like, do you ever clean up a hotel room before you leave? Like,
Oh,
for the staff. And I laughed and I go, I do try to at least like loosely tidy it up. And like she said, make sure that the towels are in the bathtub or where, like, put things
yeah,
where they
yeah,
should go.
yeah.
And then, but what's funny is that Roy Choi, saying like, oh yeah, like when we used to go party in hotels, he'd be the one to clean up all the beer cans. And like, she's like, well, I don't have those hotel experiences.
Exactly.
It's like,
Yeah, it's interesting to hear of her upbringing,
yes,
a little bit. I also found it very interesting that she's eating meat. I
and a
thought
lot
she
of
was
it.
a vegetarian or a vegan or something. And
I
I'm
would have
wondering,
assumed
has it
it just as
always been that?
LA. Yeah,
Yeah, I just assumed. And I was wondering, and did Harry change that? Because
right.
Harry's going to eat meat. You don't grow up in
Sure.
an English household and go to the Scottish Highlands and not eat venison and all
Right.
that other kind of stuff. So, um, all right.
That's
So I'm
true.
going to start with the cons.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
I'd rather
Okay.
go out on a high
I'll
note.
try not to be the defense attorney.
Yeah, so I've already brought up the whole I always.
Yes. Okay.
The second is I don't believe she's doing anything that anyone cannot find on Pinterest. That I
Right.
wonder, is she becoming an expert just by watching some videos, making a
Right.
couple of phone calls, reading a couple cookbooks, and
Right.
he's probably practiced how to do a couple of these things,
Right.
and that's where the whole I always I
Right.
question because
Right.
I don't think that there's anything she's done that's particularly special
Right.
that anybody can't go out there and find on Pinterest. You know, I have
Right.
friends that are hostesses with the mostesses kind
Sure.
of thing and do a lot of amazing things. And I didn't think there was anything that she did that put her over the top. The
Right.
only thing I feel that puts her over the top is she has she's got this amazing garden at her
Right.
disposal.
Right.
Um, so um, this is being snarky.
Okay.
But back in her childhood, where her first claim to fame was, I don't want to be a lady who lunches. I want to be a woman who works.
I didn't remember that. She quotes that.
That's how yes, where she wrote the letter to the Dawn
Oh,
dishwashing
yeah,
company,
yes, yes,
whatever
yes.
it
Because
was.
they were,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And she said from an early age, I didn't want to be a lady who lunched. I want to be a woman who worked. You sure are putting together a lot of lunches for people and sitting around having these beautiful
Yeah,
lunches
it's like you're
with your
kind of
friends.
doing a lady who lunches, or at least
Yes, I
for
know
the
you're doing
show
this
you
as your
are.
job, but yeah.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I already said, who else has such a garden? But and I'm not the only one who said this. Do you have to put flowers on everything? Flower sprinkles on this, flower
I
sprinkles on
know.
that. So I think it's funny that she's
Well,
selling it, but
that's what I
that's a
say. Now
marketing
it's,
thing. When you're telling me that
mhm.
she's selling that, now I get it.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Now it's all making sense because you're right. It is a whole lot of flower sprinkles. And you know what? No joke. It made me want to use flower sprinkles, but I'm like, where am I supposed to get flower sprinkles? Like, because sometimes she was like picking them off of flowers. I'm like, well, I don't know what flowers I have that I
which
can use.
flowers? Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
You
And
have to go and look. Yes.
so I was like,
Note,
that.
do not use oleander. Oleander will kill you. Don't use
Okay,
oleander.
okay.
Particularly the white.
Yeah, I don't even have flowers. I can't even grow flowers, so it's fine. I don't have anything to put on
And there are
there.
oleander everywhere in Florida. I remember we had
Oh,
some in our
really?
backyard, and when
Oh,
Steven was
okay.
a little boy, my husband's like, "Don't let him play in the backyard. What if he eats the flowers?" And I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
"Okay, all right, calm down."
That's hilarious.
Um, so these are my others, sort of just
Okay.
comments.
Oh wait, real quick before you get to the next
Please.
one. What was the okay? Remind me of the first one you said before flower sprinkles. What was the first one you just
I think
said?
it was who else has such a garden? And
Oh,
we've already
and like
discussed that.
Pinterest and whatnot, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I was just gonna say with that, so there's a certain market of people, I'll say, like me, who maybe I peruse Pinterest and I like things just because like they look pretty. I don't ever do anything from Pinterest. This was actually having me like watch in a different format of something that I found entertaining, right? Where I was, like I said, right? It was like, oh, like I've probably seen flower sprinkles on things in Pinterest forever, right? You know, a bunch of
Mm-hmm,
times.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
like it wasn't until I see Meghan doing it or how she does something that again doesn't look very spectacular. Even the packaging, right? Like on Pinterest, they'd be like, hey, here's a fun hack. Like put some of these treats in a little treat bag that doesn't have like the label on it. And that way it
Uh-huh.
looks cuter for your guest, right?
Yes.
Like that's
Having a
that
little,
is
absolutely.
like
Yes,
all
having a little
those,
gift bag
yeah. So
for
like all
sure.
those little Pinterest things. And maybe there are people that also really enjoy Pinterest and then they like that because it's like Pinterest on TV. Like,
Yes,
you know.
true. And I have to say, some of those dishes were intriguing. Like I said, the pot stickers look good. The skincare, because I do
Yeah,
use an exfoliant, and she says never scratch your skin. I
right.
scrub the hell out of my
I know,
skin,
right? Yeah.
and I'm like, maybe I
Uh,
should go try
yeah,
that.
I want to try the quiche. And did she make a frittata or something too? She made
I
something
don't
with
remember the
eggs, or
frittata, the
maybe it was an
quiche.
omelet. She made something with eggs on the stovetop, I think early on, but it
You
was,
have me at eggs. You have me
I
at
know,
quiche. You have.
right.
I mean, I love all that stuff. Even the first pasta dish that she did
I got, yeah,
in a skillet, I thought was really good.
she
That looked
was
really.
getting so much crap for that online of everybody acting like, oh, like, you know, one skillet, like acting like that's stupid. And it was like, kind of her whole point, or at least a lot of the point that she makes is like, you're a mom cooking. Do you want her to use a whole bunch of pots and pans, right? Like the idea is like, look what you can do in one skillet.
In
And
one skillet.
yeah, and
Hmm.
my mom, what's funny, like she was texting me and I already knew this, but like my mom makes she calls it skillet spaghetti, but hers is like traditional spaghetti where it's like, you know, tomatoes and ground beef and whatnot, but it's in
Right.
one skillet. She cooks the pasta that way. So like I showed her oh, what was in Megan's. I like sent her a little screenshot because I found
Yeah.
a picture that showed like each little ingredient. And yeah, my mom's like, yeah, that sounds delicious. She's like, your dad probably wouldn't eat it if I fixed it.
No,
But I
now
thought it looked
Jose will
great. Yeah.
I thought it looked really good, and I love tomatoes. I've just in
Yeah.
recent years, I absolutely love tomatoes. And by the way, if you don't already, don't put them in the refrigerator. I cannot convince my
Oh my,
mother enough. Keep them out of
can
the
you tell,
refrigerator.
you want to know who I learned this from?
Meghan Markle.
No, Taylor Hanson.
Oh, is that right?
He's like really into food and stuff, and like was on a podcast as a guest, and like I heard him talking about like the first time that he bit into like a tomato when they were on tour in like Italy or something, and he was like, what is this?
What
And
is
like,
this?
and they had the podcast was actually about how like American tomatoes and a lot of our food have lost the flavor.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
because of trying to make
Well,
them
our
bigger
soil is
and
different.
better, and the
Absolutely,
soil.
they get
Yeah.
the soil, they get their nutrients and their flavor from the soil, and the soil is different in Italy than it is here. It's
Right.
comprised of
Right.
different things. Yes, the tomatoes in Italy are
And here it's like we just
unbelievable.
keep reusing the same soils unless whatever.
It's
But
true.
they did point out, don't put them in the
Don't
refrigerator
put them
because
in the
they're like part
refrigerator.
of the taste is like the almost like what, like the smell or what, like the aroma, like they basically
Yeah,
just said it takes it out, it pulls it out
it
of it.
completely pulls it out.
Yeah.
My mom would buy tomatoes and she immediately put them in the refrigerator.
I
And
used
I
to.
buy the
Yeah.
what's that?
I used to because I just thought that's
Yes,
what you do.
that's
Yeah.
what I thought you did. No, take the hint from this is what I've also learned, and I'm going to throw in Meghan Markle
Yeah,
style,
yeah.
whatever. If it's not in the refrigerator in the grocery store, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be in the refrigerator in your house.
I have
Until you cut into it, when you
yes.
cut and slice a tomato, then you need to
Then you
put it in
have
the
to put it, yeah.
refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom would bring every ounce of produce and put it right in
Yep.
the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
And there are now these little, I say now as if it's a new thing,
Yeah.
but they're little tomatoes and they're still on the vine. And I get them at our grocery store and I
Uh-huh.
pop those things like candy. I love them. And I've never loved tomatoes the way I
That's
do.
amazing.
And we grow tomatoes out here every
Yeah.
summer. We try to. Yeah, we get a heap wad of tomatoes late August, and they're
I
just amazing.
I
And,
really like cooked tomatoes. I can do some tomatoes in like a salad, little cherry tomatoes,
mhm,
but
mhm.
I don't eat them like candy on their own. I'm not to that point. But I do
Yeah.
really like steam, like the steamed tomatoes or cooked tomatoes when they're with an English breakfast.
Oh
A
yes.
full English.
There's
I
exactly the full
love it.
English. The tanginess comes out of them
Hmm.
very much so. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, okay, so these are just other.
Yeah, so yeah, next. Yeah.
um, okay. Do you think Will and Kate have watched the show?
Hey, that's a great, yeah, question. I
So
have
this
not
this
thought
is
about
what
that.
I think. This is what I think. It's in the
Hmm.
morning and Kate's like, "Oh, Will's darling, do you think we should watch, Megan's new show's come out. Maybe we should just watch it tonight." And he's like, "Absolutely not. We're not going to watch that show. I'm not going to watch that woman store up my family." And she's like, "Oh, of course not, honey. I was just kidding, just kidding. Go on, have a lovely day doing your
Right, right.
printing thing. Go on, go on, go do." She closes the door and she runs into the bedroom and she pulls and she's like, "What's this woman got that I haven't got?" And that's what I think. I think I'd be willing to bet
Yeah,
at least one of them is watching it on the sly
I love
just
it.
to see what she's
At
doing.
least, yeah, it's like at least bits and pieces, right? Like or like here and there. They've I feel like they've surely at least two like they got to be a little curious, right? And,
Absolutely.
and as far as if they hadn't had the huge fallout that they did, there would be nothing for them to be upset with about this
Correct.
show because
If they had not been that whole racist thing up,
she doesn't bring anything. Yeah. Well, and if Harry wouldn't have told all of their stuff in his book, right? Like, went through all of it. So I
yep.
think yeah, so it is nice that it is very much turning a page, this show. So we're not talking about leaving the royal family anymore. We're not talking about any of that. She only references Harry kind of here and there, and it's in like a husbandly fashion, right? And
Yes.
like the kids and
H.
whatever. Yeah, H. Yeah. But I like finding out that yeah, the people call her Meg. Okay, so what I did really like was that they would show, of course, like after she's cooked something or whatever, or if she's in like in the early morning segments where she's like preparing before the guest is coming, and she'll fit like because it's a whole bunch of people there filming it, right? There's all these
Hmm.
people that takes to film it that are working there, and she would stop and be like, have you had coffee? Like, let me make you a coffee. Or, hey, everybody, like, dig into this. I think was it the pot sticker. There was something that there was a whole lot of, and she was like, everybody take, and they
Oh,
showed like
the
all the
casting,
different
the crew,
the
the crew.
crew.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
they
the
showed the
crew.
rest of the crew, yeah, that she's sharing with them. And I feel like that is feels genuine as well. That feels like a genuine character move where it's like I feel like
Yes,
I would be that way too. Where if I had like a whole bunch of people filming me the whole time, that at the end of the day, I wouldn't just like treat them like, okay, bye guys. Like I'd feel like we're together all the time, guys. Like, we're kind of
yes.
like
And
friendly
I
or
feel that
whatever.
part of that is intentional. I think there's a side product of this for Meghan or for Meghan and Harry to
Sure.
show I'm not a bully. I'm nice to the
Well,
people
right.
that I work with.
That's
Yes,
true.
that
That's
was one of
true.
my comments too. Yes.
That's a good point. That's true. And but I also really liked that in the one where she was doing the gift wrapping and how she was talking about how she used to have a gift wrapping job and
Right.
like talking about how to do the corners and like have a
Right.
little tool. I was like, I did not know that that was a thing. Like the
I
people
didn't
had a
either.
tool. I was like, that's awesome. And also, I liked how she's like, and you could, put a little sprig of lavender or something or rosemary if you have it. And what I really liked was that clearly it was not planned that she would
Correct.
do
That
this.
she ran out at the
And so
last.
she was
Just
like,
go get
instead of
some.
making the entire crew move and like set up a new thing, she's like, just
Yes.
wait. Like
And
runs
they put
outside
that in.
and
Yes,
runs
she ran
back in.
outside and brought it back.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
thought
And
that
it does
was
make
cute.
it does make a beautiful presentation when you have a little fresh something or
It
even
is
if it's a
really
little
nice.
fake flower, but you put that in the bow. It just it shows that
Exactly.
you made an effort and it's something, it's when you get that package and it's like, this is too pretty to open. I don't want to
Right.
rip this paper.
Right.
So
So I get that it is obviously a produced and edited show. Like, which also is why I think it's interesting that they let the clip of her and Mindy Kaling where she's like, I think it's funny you keep saying Markle when you know I'm Sussex now. I thought what was funny was to leave that in because that could, I feel like, easily be even for me, right? Like I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but even that, like, it sounded a little like she definitely was irked by it, right? Like she was trying to say, like, hey, stop calling me Meghan Markle. But I feel like that was a daring move as far as editing and production wise to have that air,
to
to
have that
have,
in there.
yeah, they did not have
So
to have that in there.
no.
So what do
So
you
why is her last name Sussex? Because Sussex is a title of the region over which you sort of reign and oversee. Harry's last name is not Sussex.
but is
It
it now?
is. What's that?
Is it now though?
I don't know. That's one of my questions.
Okay, I'm googling it
Oh
right
shoot,
now.
I had it looked up. Hold on a second
What
because
his
I had
full
it up
name
here.
is.
Oh shoot, now I can't find it.
Okay. What
Um,
is Prince Harry's real name?
Mountbatten, Windsor Mountbatten,
All right.
something.
So it's okay, so Henry Charles Albert David for
Got
all
that
of
too.
those.
Yep.
Um and then surname.
Mountbatten, Windsor.
So you know what? When Harry was born, his birth certificate read Henry Charles Albert David with no official surname listed. Royals have little use for surnames, although they have adopted Windsor since 1917 and use
Correct.
it when needed.
Right.
So let's see. Now, let's see. So, yeah. So it does say, yeah, as the Duke of Sussex, Harry would certainly be known as Harry Sussex. This is what.
Interesting. When I
So,
was wondering if he decided to make that official
right. Because,
since he has broken away.
right.
Um,
Because that's what
yeah.
I'd say, like, for then William and Kate, right? Because, like, that's what's interesting is, like, forever they were just referred to as the Cambridges.
And
Now
now
they're
they're the
referred to as the
Waleses.
Waleses, right?
Yes. 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 Yes.
So he's the same where it's William Arthur Philip Louis is his birth certificate name. Yeah. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no.
Like
That's so that was one of the points I wanted because somebody
yes,
said, well, again, somebody who's snarky about the whole thing
sure.
said, last name isn't Sussex. Harry's last name is not Sussex. It's Mountbatten
I
Windsor.
know.
And yeah, I think
But
when pressed, but
right.
that's what they go by. I've already brought up that point. I did just bring up too that she's showing the world she's pleasant to work with.
That
You
is
know, how
true. Yes.
she includes
Yes.
everybody.
Oh,
So
and
those are
on
my cons, those are my middle of the
yeah,
road, and my pros are it's very California. It's very light and
it
fun,
is. Mm-hmm.
unstressful. It is, I like the choice of music that is played throughout.
Hmm.
And I think those are some of the things and some of the artists that they do listen to. I do think she's got a real hand,
Yeah.
some of the music that is
Hmm.
played. And my last thing is I have a hard time believing that as she's sitting here doing this, that she is going off of a script that she's written herself. I'm going to say this and da da da. She, to me, and not to mention, she
Yeah.
can't predict what somebody else is going to say.
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think she has a very pleasant and intelligent, with a good vocabulary,
Hmm.
spontaneous monologue and dialoguing.
That's true.
I think
Yeah.
she's very good at shooting from the cuff there, or shooting from
Right,
the hip,
right.
shooting off the cuff,
Yeah, yeah.
and keeping conversation going and talking through her processes.
Right, right.
Um,
That's
so
true.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely. And I thought it was like cute when she tastes things or whatever, and if it's like really good, like how she started dancing, or she kind of like dances in place and says like
right.
that's something that what Lilibet does.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the
yes,
daughter. It's like that is
yes,
funny that it's like a little kid, yeah,
yes,
thing to do.
yes, it
But she
is.
does seem to be like she really is into food and taste. Like I don't like I whatever. I just am very much different personality and like level of enthusiasm about things. So like
Right.
so yeah, so I would not be as good on something like that, tasting people's stuff. Like, yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Yes. Right.
you
Right.
know, delicious.
Yeah, like I said, I
She's
think
really
she's
into it.
very good with the conversation, and with the, even back at the dreadful Oprah
Yes.
interview,
Yeah.
the one line that I remember from all of that, she says, "Wow, that's a loaded piece of toast," and I just thought that was a intelligent quip to come
That is
back,
funny. That's
you know.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So,
Yeah.
um, are we finished with that one? You
So
got a
with
litany of stuff to.
yeah, I know. Yeah, we have more to discuss. Yeah, all I'll say is that I do see. So they've already filmed, I guess, a season two. So season two is happening for that show.
Okay.
So yeah, so I don't know when it's coming out. But I did see that that is already a plan. So yeah, let's see. There's yeah.
Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Charles.
Yeah. So Charles was in the hospital again,
Yeah.
but it wasn't even overnight.
No.
Yes. And I'll let yeah, you say what you think. I was like, Trevor and I discussed it, and it was like he's in his 70s with cancer. He should be allowed to like go to the hospital from time to time. Like without
Well,
everyone panicking.
absolutely, absolutely. And if that's all it is just checkups, and somebody got a picture of him, going
Right.
into
Or
St.
he
Mary's
was
or whatever
yeah,
it
he was
is.
experiencing some side effects is what they said, right, from the treatment. So he needed maybe an extra appointment or
Right,
whatever.
right.
But
I was just looking up some
yeah.
things here, and I don't know if this is a quote from him or somebody else. No, it's just a friend said. Uh, Both Charles and Diana behaved badly in that first marriage. King Charles still deeply regrets, quote unquote, regrets this part of his relationship with Princess Diana. I don't know
Mhm.
about that. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm sure he does.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So Camilla was on the cover of Newsweek, like a few weeks ago. So
okay.
Jack Royston was talking about it, and um, one thing that, well, there are like a lot of interesting things about it, but a couple of interesting points is he was talking about how, basically that, the 70s were when Charles essentially like came into the public eye, right? Like out of the
Correct.
military, he was like looking for a wife. 80s were all Diana because 90s was difficult.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, and then he was like, and then it basically went straight into William being 16, and like now we're focused on William and Harry, um, and their kids. And so now that it's like, Harry and William are old enough that they're not the young guys anymore.
Hmm.
Their kids are at least probably 10 years off before we can start obsessing over them.
Right.
So, and now he's like, Kate originally just started out with being out with surgery, and William was taking time off for her surgery.
Hmm.
And then we find out Charles has cancer. He's like, Camilla steps in and he said, this is like the first time in decades where there's been space for her, like to even be part of the story. He's like, yeah, she was always associated with things in the difficult, throughout those
Right,
decades.
right.
but one of her aides made a comment that she is a stranger to self-pity. So he said that she just something she got from her dad, and there's no time for it. Just you move you move forward. And I thought, well, that explains how she's made it this far. Just, I'll say, just being alive. I mean, after all the
Right.
stuff she went through in the press and never saying a word. We've talked about this before,
True.
how she's, Diana and Charles are doing their crazy stuff in the press,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
like, and you're just sitting there like taking it and still carrying on with your life. Like,
Right.
that's impressive.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, she was probably, not only were the two of them in love with each other, but she was his solace.
Right, right,
She wasn't in the limelight, so he was able to get away. That was a whole other peaceful,
right.
calming life.
True.
He was never going to get that with Diana, not with
Oh
the way
no.
cameras followed her either.
Right, right.
But yeah,
But that would
but
be
it
a
was
lot
still.
too, to like, if you put yourself in her place, right? Like, so you have all this stuff going on in the media being said about you, right? It's been outed you like with the other woman, and of course it's like
Hmm.
against Princess Diana or whatever. And now you have to be the solace for this guy,
Yes.
like, who
Yeah.
you are in love with. But it's like, hey, I mean, I'm not saying that there wasn't a back and forth or whatever. And like Trevor and I talked about it as like, being a stranger to self pity doesn't mean that you bottle things up. I said, it just means you're probably, like I said, hopefully she's had a therapist at some point. I said, like,
Right. Yes.
therapy, private moments, processing things, right? But like,
Right.
you're not making it part of your identity, that like the self pity thing, right? Like,
Right.
I think
Right.
that's the difference. Or,
Yes.
yeah, to distinguish.
I keep wondering about the husband who knew about it all along.
Well, and it sounds like he did his own kind of
Well,
nonsense.
I'm like, how are
Andrew
you
Parker
accepting of
Bowles,
that?
right?
It,
Yeah.
that's all I can figure. He had his own chippy on the side. I mean, he
Yes,
had
that's
to
what
have
they.
something. Yes. And then I'm sitting there like, God, these poor kids, how screwed up is that?
Right, right.
Good Lord. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. But that is also like a weird, or at least for me, like I'd say what a stereotype is of a certain class of English family.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe not necessarily that the woman's always stepping out, but that the husband is, and it's sort of known, and that's sort of
You
accepted.
toe
Like,
the
we,
line.
yeah, yeah,
You toe
exactly.
that was yes, that you toe the line.
Yes.
And
So, yeah, so it was just that hers happened to be with the heir to the throne.
yes,
So it was a
yes,
lot
yes,
more
yes.
public.
Yeah. A little bit. Um, so Charles and Camilla are on their way to Italy, or they're there already. I know they're going to meet with
Oh yeah.
the
Have they already
Holy
met with the
See.
Pope? Have they
Pope.
already?
Yes. I don't know if they have yet.
Okay.
This is Monday, April 7th. Royal News. Charles and Camilla begin Italy tour after King's hospital stay due to cancer
Oh
treatment.
right.
This poor guy, that's it doesn't matter what he's doing,
Yeah,
they got to
yeah.
treat
Yeah,
cancer.
they're like, hey, remember though?
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. What to
And
expect from
then
Charles and Queen Camilla's visit to Italy? Don't know, state visits. I'm trying to see. It doesn't seem to have anything hugely standing out. I know they're going to meet with the Pope, and that's about all I know.
mhm,
But the silent person here is also Queen. That's my teacups.
oh yeah.
Princess Anne, the
Right.
Princess Royal. She does so much work for the royal family,
Right.
and she's just that stalwart, stoic figure,
Hmm.
always there, not looking for the limelight, whatever.
That's
She can
true.
hold her own, and that wonderful extension of the British royals, taking on her own charities, out there
Right.
representing and doing a lot of work, and I just think she's marvelous. And of course, there's her daughter Zara,
Oh
who's
yes. Hmm.
close. Yes, she's very close with Charles. I think she and Charles have a special relationship. And her husband, I think it's Mike Tyndall, isn't it, Mike?
That
I think it's
sounds
Mike.
right. Yeah, yeah. I think that
Yeah,
sounds
that
right.
Mike
Yeah.
has denied. They said if you were offered a title, I don't think Czar has a title because Anne did not give them titles.
Right. Oh, okay.
So if since they're kind of out there represented, they're certainly in the limelight a lot.
Right.
But he said absolutely not. I do not want a royal title. And which I immediately pictured Lady Amy off in the side going, "Can I have it? Can I
Yeah,
have
yeah. I'd be like, are you insane? Yeah.
it?" they have enough. They're well off. They're well to do. They get enough
Sure.
privileges just being, the fringe of the royal
Related.
family.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
So,
Right. I mean, I guess
yeah.
I see if, especially if it's like a guy who, oh, just never cared about that in the first place and married into the family, right? Like, why would he be
Mhm.
like, yeah, I want a title? Like, I feel like
Yes,
my answer, if I would just be like, if they really wanted us to have it, fine. But like,
right.
I don't need it. I don't like,
Yes,
I'm not asking for
exactly.
one.
Yes.
Um,
I think they have their own family life, their own. I don't even know what either one of them does for a living. I know she's a famous equestrian. She's,
oh, okay.
I
Yeah, I
believe an
always
Olympic
forget.
equestrian, just as her mother was before her.
Oh, that's funny. I knew
Um,
that her mom was. I didn't realize she was as well. So
yeah.
that's
Yes.
interesting.
Definitely a
Um,
horsewoman.
yes. So, uh, so I forgot one other thing that came out last week. So did you hear that Prince Harry stepped down from Cintabale?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to
Okay.
take that?
Oh, I did a horrible job explaining it last Friday.
Oh,
I told Trevor, I was like, I listened to the episode, that segment twice. I go, and it's still so confusing to me because the only person I really know in this is Prince Harry. And I
Harry.
go,
Uh-huh.
and everybody else in my mind is like, there's like a director, there's like a chair director, there's the board, there's whatever, like all these different people high up. And I was like, but loosely, it was like he stepped down in solidarity of the board, I believe, because they felt like the current chair or director, whatever her name is, she needed to step down and she refused to do it. And so like they're leaving the
Okay.
charity. And Centibale for I forgot to mention this last time. It means forget me not. Um in what is it in Lesotho? Yeah, is what it means.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And so yeah, so that was a special charity that he started almost 20 years ago, or nonprofit,
Okay.
for, and it was sort of in I guess like in memory of his mom. So
Right.
they did a lot of work with like, AIDS prevention, cures, all of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do not understand what the issue is. So far, everybody who has come out with these crazy statements, throwing mud at the other person,
Right.
essentially, it sounds like they know what they're referring to. It's like cryptic, but it's like just enough that we know something's wrong. like like
Yes.
that they're like, so the director lady, chair lady, whoever her name is, that's still there. I
Right.
believe she's actually taken it up with the I forget what they're called, but it's like an association for charities, whatever, that like basically for England and Wales, and like they hold charities accountable for stuff. So like she's essentially taking it to like the court for whatever it is. And the two things that I remember that were mentioned was misogyny and misogynoir, which we learned was a term for specifically towards black women, so not just regular misogyny.
Interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
and so we were like, maybe that's like a French thing. I don't know. It sounds French, but
Yes, it does. It does.
yeah. But so Jack Royston, when he was reporting it, said it doesn't sound like she's directly saying those are to Prince Harry, but perhaps the people he's standing up for are the ones that are being accused of this.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I saw her saying something, that she said, the people who talk about being bullied are the
Yes.
ones who are being bullied, are the ones who are bullying. I
Yes.
did
Yeah,
I
because she
did see
said
that.
this.
Yes.
What'd she call it? The Sussex machine. Yeah, because
Yes.
they released the Sussex machine on her. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like that's a fair point.
Yes. I hear you. So I'm looking up Royal News Today, England, and I'm
Hmm.
pulling up the Express.
Okay.
Gee,
Perfect.
these are just headlines. Harry bitten off more than he can chew as he faces powerful opponent in new row, and it has to do with Sentebale.
Gotcha.
Um, and it started with Meghan Markle insider claims. I wonder if it has anything to do with her.
Oh, right.
Yes, and then let's see. Um, Prince Harry likely not overly happy with Meghan Markle for doing this. These are people just pulling up crap. Pardon me. But here's one. Meghan Markle sparks fan frenzy after wearing $30,000 outfit to celebrate brand launch.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all just it's a lot of conjecture and hearsay. Yeah.
So
That
another bit of news that I did bring up on Friday, but I looked up before this to see what the update was. So Virginia Giuffre, the lady
yes,
who accused,
yes,
right, Prince
yes.
Andrew,
Had an
um,
accident.
yes, she had an accident. She posted on Instagram that she had 4 days to live because of
Right.
renal failure or whatever,
Hmm.
and posted a picture of all of her bruises and stuff. So when I was Googling it today to see, so it looks like she was released after 6 days in the hospital. Um,
Hmm.
her brother said, let's see, I might have lost that tab, but her brother basically said that I think her brother and maybe his wife said something like, uh, she never claimed that the accident is what caused all those injuries because basically Australia is like it was a minor accident with no injuries reported with like involving her and like a school bus that the
Okay.
school bus driver is claiming she turned in front of him, and I guess there were parents on the bus and they claimed the same that she pulled in front of the bus, um, and he said that yeah, and so basically he's acting like they weren't necessarily caused by her car accident,
Hmm.
even though that's how the post would lead you to
Right,
believe.
right,
But he said he would hope that he basically said, "What's it going to take for people to believe her? Like, does she have to die in order for like her not to be a liar or whatever? You know?" And it was like he basically said, "Can't uh can't you essentially like accept that she has these injuries and maybe underlying issues? Like, can you just basically be empathetic for a human who
right,
there may be more? Like, he's essentially saying, like, there may be more to the story. It may be a little sketchy or like something's off about it, but she is legitimately like injured. So, like, we don't know what the whole story is.
right.
They said something about like I think she was separated from her husband, like
Okay.
yeah, like a restraining order type situation. So I don't know if it is yeah, like a domestic violence thing or what, but I mean she
Huh.
looks
She
really
looks
bruised
quite beat
up.
up. Yes,
Yeah.
she does. Yeah,
Yeah.
she looks quite beat up.
So the
Um,
update there is that it's still weird and wishy-washy, but I guess she's surviving. So
yeah, she didn't die after 4 days, and
yes,
which is great. Good
which is
thing. Not,
great, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And I thought it was a fair point of her brother to just be like, what does she have to die? Like
yeah,
you guys are gonna hold this against her. You know, it's like
yes,
people think that they're gonna die all the time, or doctors give you,
yes.
not good prognosis.
Prognosis for something.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes,
And then I mean, you might panic and be like, "I'm shit, I got like 4 days to like I'm gonna post this and say that I hope I get to see my kids, whatever, like
yes,
that they make it to me
right.
in time, kind of thing." And then you're like, "Cool, now I look like a crazy person."
Yeah, I know, exactly. Oh, goodness. Always a drama, and I'm so glad it's not my life, you
I
know?
know, right? Right. No kidding. I know. But so goodness, other than that, oh, Trevor and I went way into it back when it was happening a couple weeks ago, but it was like the whole Commonwealth thing and how there was like the
Oh
rumor
my
about
gosh.
America joining the Commonwealth
Yes,
and how
yes,
Jack Royston's opinion, it would have been something random that would have gone completely under the radar had Trump not commented on it
right,
and
right.
especially commented on it in a positive light. Sent everyone into a tailspin.
Yes, it did. And something that Lady Amy would really love to know that she's
Yeah,
part of the British
I
Commonwealth.
know. I know, but Jack Royston though points out he's like, so what people probably don't understand, like I didn't. He was like, so there's like the Commonwealth realm, but like that wouldn't be what we would be in theory. He was like, there's the Commonwealth, which is just like a group of 52 countries. He said, and
Correct.
the king and the queen before him happen to be the head of it or whatever, or like kind of the leader, but
Right.
it does not have to be a royal. So essentially, it can literally be anyone that the 52 countries decide it should be. And Prince William has already, I guess, made comments about how he may not be the head of the Commonwealth when he is king. So, like, it's understood that this isn't a given, I guess, which I did not know
Okay.
that, right?
Okay. I didn't need, yeah.
Yeah, and he was also pointing out, he's like, and those 50, it's not England alone to invite people into the countries into the
Oh,
crown. He was like,
okay.
those
Okay.
52 countries are gonna have to agree on this. He's like, and I have a feeling there's at least one of them that's not gonna let you in, like
Yeah.
let the
Yeah.
US in. So
Very
yeah, so he's just like, essentially there's nothing to worry about. It's just because he made, there's not, I'll say there's nothing real to worry about with that. Like, we're not
right.
joining the
Right.
Commonwealth. No one's even invited us. But he did play he did go through the theoretical sense of it, and was like, or hypothetical, and was like, why would this be good for Britain or anybody else if they wanted to offer that? And they're like, well, they would hope that they would have some like sway on like things that Trump is doing, right?
Right.
But Jack Royston's opinion, which I do agree with, he was like, however, he goes, how it would probably, or how it could likely backfire is, he's like, so Trump is a hard power and does not respect soft power. He's like, the Commonwealth is completely made up of soft power. He
Soft
said,
power. Absolutely.
so he will come in, and instead of trying to do what they're doing, he will come in and try to change what they're doing and make it his Commonwealth.
Yes.
So I was like,
If we were given that much of a say as our, as if our
that's what I'm
country
saying. Like,
was given that much of a
if we made it far enough for everybody in the 52 countries to be like, oh, maybe this will work. Let's bring him in, right? Like, if we made it far enough, and whatever, the US
right.
didn't have an uprising against
You're
against it in
right.
the first place.
Well, but the press took it as if to say, hey, we're ready to be part of Britain again, and
I know. But
that's not at all what was meant by it.
right, right. But he did
But
say, like, what did he say? Something like, yeah, great, like, what did he say? Something like, I love King Charles, or King, I don't know. It was
right,
something sort
yes,
of like, sure, let's give it a
let's do it.
whirl.
Yeah, I'd consider it absolutely. But yeah, but that won't happen. We're not going to be British citizens again. It's just
We're not.
becoming part of an
As
international
Yes,
organization.
as much as I might want that,
Right.
that's not in the cards for us, people.
No, no, exactly. Yeah, when I read that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. What? I mean, and knowing it's never going to happen, it's not going to happen.
I know,
So,
but yes,
yeah,
so just very, very silly and very funny, and
yes.
I thought some interesting points, educational points that Jack Royston, had, that I was like, oh, I didn't know, like, that's what that would mean. So yes, very fun.
That's, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, ruffling feathers everywhere he goes. Absolutely.
that's right.
And he doesn't care. So,
He's enjoying
like the
it.
policy or not, it's hard to take the man.
I was to
So,
say, yeah, he's enjoying himself. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. Which is funny because I thought Melania's choice of headwear for the inauguration was absolutely ridiculous. And I'm like,
very,
why can't you see her face? Why is she, this is such a stupid choice. Somebody should have told her. But then I was like, as we got further, I'm like, that was totally intentional. She was completely
but
intentional. I don't think she
she,
wanted to be seen. I don't,
no. Well, and
yeah.
again, like, I feel like what I've always heard, um from the beginning, was that she never wanted to be in the White House in the first place. She
No,
can't.
she doesn't want the, she doesn't want the
She
spotlight.
she
Yes.
didn't want to be. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
pissed. She was pissed at him from the first time around.
Probably.
So,
I think so. I think
so,
so.
so he's lucky that she's hanging
Absolutely.
on the second time around.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
But
Okay.
and it'd
Well,
be
this.
fun to live in the White House. I would pour over every nook and cranny in that house.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and I know we just totally got off from England. We're on to
That's okay. I mean, but it's
but
whatever. It was
and
associated.
it's sort of, yeah. So they built the White House and in the early 1800s is what it was, and come up to 50, 60, 70 years later, and then they had a fire and all this stuff, so
Mhm.
things had to be torn down, ripped out, and they took it and they threw it in a field
Oh yeah.
which is now a baseball field. Parts of the original White House,
Yeah.
whether they're charred or
Yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah.
not, it's just bits and pieces, but they're in a field now that's
So they're
off.
just buried.
It's a baseball field now. So people that are out there playing baseball
Yeah.
over a field that, if you went out with a metal
That's what I was
detector
saying. Yeah, I
and
was like, where
started
are the
digging into it,
the archaeologists? Come on.
I know,
Get on
might be
this.
kind of fun. What would you find?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be
Pottery,
cool.
bits and pieces of I don't know, things that were there during the
Right,
Adams
right.
administration.
Maybe
I
some
don't know.
kind of, I don't know,
Yeah.
burn up picture frames. Like
Yes,
big
exactly.
paintings.
Stuff like that. Stuff like charred wood. Oh, what's this piece of charred? Yeah,
Right,
yeah, you
right.
just threw out a piece of the White House, but you didn't
That's
know that.
awesome. That's
So
really cool.
anyway.
Um,
Well, we are pushing. Well,
I know, I know. We're
it's been
pushing 2 hours.
over an hour and a half.
I knew we would need a lot of extra time because I was
I
like, we've
know.
got so much, and I mean, Megan alone, we had tea business.
I know.
It's too much.
Exactly. Yes, too much, too much.
Yes,
But let's try to do a tea tasting.
yes,
You decide. I
yes.
can send you or you can send me, whatever you
I
want
need to
to do.
send you. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna send you because there's some teas. I forget the tea company. It's not one I've heard of, but someone from church essentially was giving them out, and my mom took them, and they're flavors and blends that I've not heard or necessarily tried before, so they might be
Okay.
new to both of us. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. We can do that. May.
yes,
Not until late May. I think you and I are pretty
agreed.
busy
Yes, yeah,
between
yeah, yeah,
now
yeah.
and
I was
then.
like until
So
yeah, like definitely the second half of May would be great.
definitely. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, all
Awesome.
right.
Okay, well, lovely.
Yes. And you
Thank
look lovely and your background is lovely
Oh,
and it's
thank you.
very enjoyable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
was
was
like,
good.
your real background looks lovely.
Thanks. I've got my Easter stuff up.
Oh, I
Go to
love it.
right here. I've got some Easter things out,
That's
which I didn't do
awesome.
it all last year because this time last year we were in England. So,
Oh,
yeah, and our friends are trying to decide. So he's retiring from the Navy, and she said, if I get a say, I want to stay here.
ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so he's looking into options and connections of possibly staying. She said, and I said something because I called her the other day and we actually talked and she said something. She said, "Well, he's supposed to be retiring. He's got all this paperwork and all this administrative stuff he's got to do to retire." She says he doesn't have 2 seconds to do it because of all the stuff going on over in your neck of the woods
Oh,
with the layoffs and the
oops.
everything else that's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on. And she said he's so busy, so she's taken up the reins. And I'm like, well, then it's easily swayed if you can
Yeah, no
take
kidding, right?
care
Yeah,
of
you're
all
in
that,
charge.
then you can stay there.
Because,
And my husband, which was so funny because this is what I said
yeah,
when they first applied for the job.
right.
When she said he has no chance of getting the attaché job.
Yeah.
And I said, really? I said, well, I will keep my fingers crossed for me. And, very selfishly. And so when
Of
Jose and
course.
I said, Kristen wants to stay another 3 years at least, if
Yeah.
not, indefinitely.
Is that how
She'd
long
like to
they've
stay
been
over
there, or
there.
how long have they been there so
3 years
far?
now,
3 years.
3 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And she said, and I said, so if she gets her way and if he's able to get this job with such and such company,
Right.
and Jose looks at me, he goes, oh, that would be good for us. And I was like, I like your thinking.
Exactly.
I like your thinking.
That's great.
That it would be easy to fly into London, stay a couple of days with friends, and
Absolutely.
then go and do things. But my bucket list includes York. I so want to go to Yorkshire. If you
Mm-hmm.
have not watched, I say this to everybody
Yeah.
out there, the new rendition of All Creatures Great and Small.
Okay. I'll have to look.
And the old version I loved. It's just that it's old, so the color and the texture of the landscape and everything
Right.
else. These people, the new one, this is geniusly made in that
Mm-hmm.
they wear certain colors and certain, so
Oh, right.
everything looks every frame is a picture. It's just
Right.
gorgeous. But such a postcard from the Yorkshire Dales. So that's totally on my list. My friend Emma, who
Mm-hmm.
is from York,
Yes.
it brought me back. There's Betty's Tea Room. If you've not looked up Betty's Tea Room, I totally want to do
All
that.
right.
But
Yes.
it still has Roman remnants, and like there's a city wall, a
Oh,
stone
wow.
city wall that you can walk along. It's just beautiful and picturesque. I want to go to Cornwall, which is the seaside. So I've told Isaiah, I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm not finished with England yet. I said, but
Oh,
she
yeah.
also has a brother in Scotland.
But also what?
She also, our friend Kristen, also has a brother in
A
Scotland.
brother. Okay, I thought you said she might end up in Scotland. Okay.
No, no,
I
no, but she
was
goes
like,
to Scotland a couple
right.
times a year
Oh,
to
nice.
see her brother, and they get to stay in his, apparently very posh place.
That's
Um,
awesome.
So I'm like, there's so much that we could see and do, and still have a couple days of not having to pay. Kristen, if you're watching this, I know this is just so ugly. I'm sorry. There's a couple places not having to pay for hotel, but we
Oh
love them
yeah.
dearly too. We
Yes,
we
yes.
love spending time with them. I'm like, if you don't stay in England, you got to move back to DC
Right,
area,
right,
please, because we just have so much fun when we're with them. They're just lovely people. So
right.
anyway, just
Well,
saying
that's
that.
awesome. Well, I'll keep
Yeah.
my fingers crossed for you and her.
I know, right? And then there's a part of me that just hates her. It's like, no, you need to move back here. You don't
Yeah,
get to stay in
exactly.
England any longer
Yeah.
than you already have.
Yeah,
And when you come back
you've
home,
had
bring me
enough
scads
time.
of tea. I just want tea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've got two friends traveling to our spring break is next week. And two people I know are going to London.
Oh,
And one of them
nice.
said, "What tea do you want?" I'm like, "Oh, do you have list?"
Right, right. Oh my
Like
goodness.
anything black tea is great. And
I
I
love
said,
it.
if you go to Fortnum and Mason, just bring me back a box of their royal blend. That's all I'm
Oh,
asking.
that's
So she
great.
said she would try.
That's
So
the lady that I met with at Dr. Phillips' house last Friday.
yes,
So we got on this subject of making miniature doll houses because we both like making little miniature rooms. And she's been doing it for a while. So she's like, I give them away as gifts. She's like, I've got way too many of them. But so I said, I go, have you ever by chance been to England? And she goes, no, but I'm going, I forget, like in the next, I don't know, this year at some point.
okay,
And I go, you need to go to Windsor. I said, and you
yes,
need to look and see when it's going to be available. I said, it's
yes,
Queen Anne.
Queen
Queen
Anne.
Anne's. Yes, okay. I
Yes,
always want to say, or wait, Queen Mary. Queen Mary's. It might be Queen
I
Mary's.
don't remember.
I Googled it too when I was with her. It's like, it's Anne or Mary. Um, but I was telling her about this dollhouse and she Googled it and I was like, you have to go. I was like, especially since you're into doing miniatures yourself. And I told her about
Yes,
like how Claire's now husband, but at the time fiance, works at the super old, London distillery thing. And I said how in their like archives they had duplicates of those tiny, tiny bottles. I go, and they're filled with real alcohol and
I
they
know,
have no
right?
labels. I go, so it was like, so her dollhouse was like legit miniature things.
Yes, yes.
And she was just like, could you imagine like playing with that? I was like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that
I
would
know,
just be
right?
crazy. Yeah. But
It is Queen Mary. I did look it up. It's
oh,
Queen
okay,
Mary.
good.
I got that
Okay,
wrong.
good,
Yeah,
good.
it's Queen Mary. So when we went, the line for the dollhouse was ridiculous. It was like 45 minutes
Oh
long.
no.
And I'm like, we only had so much time in Windsor.
Right.
But they do have, when you go through some of the rooms and the parlors
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, they do have a display of some miniatures
Oh, okay.
in one of the dining rooms that you can,
Oh,
view.
nice.
So there are some things that are in there, but you're not seeing the actual
Right,
dollhouse.
right.
But
Well, at least
yeah,
I've
yeah.
given her a warning, so now I can tell her specifically make sure you allow time to wait in line for
Yes,
it.
if she's doing like a half day Viator tour or something like
Yeah,
that, that's not going to give
it's
her
not
time.
gonna
She
work
just needs to go to Windsor for the
for
day.
the
I wish
day.
we
Okay.
had a whole day in Windsor.
Right.
Yeah, and I love like all their pubs. There's like the pubs. Isn't it the Princess Cat? There's a pub, Princess Catherine.
Okay.
There's the Prince Harry.
Oh,
There's I'm like I just want to eat at all of them.
that's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, but Prince Harry. There have been Prince Harrys. He's not the only one, or
Sure, sure.
Catherine, or anything like that. But I could have spent a lot of time there. Best
Yeah.
sausage roll I ever had. The Crooked Tea
Oh
House. If
yeah.
you look that one up, we actually
Hmm.
walked into the Crooked Tea
Oh,
House.
that's awesome.
Thing is so old.
That's
It
what I
does.
say. Yeah, it
The
just
door is like,
it's
yeah,
so we yeah, it's so crazy some of the buildings that are like that
I
like still
know.
standing, we're still
They're
using
still
them.
standing. They're amazing. I wish
Yeah.
I'd gotten a picture of me in front of that Crooked Tea House. I think I took a picture of it. So I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah.
get to that point. It's been a year since the trip, and I still am trying to get through the scrapbooking of that trip because I haven't
Right.
done it yet. I'm halfway through,
Right.
but so many
Well,
other
that's pretty
projects right
good.
now.
Yeah, right. There's other things happening.
Lucrative, more lucrative projects.
And now
Yes,
it's tea party season, so what are
it
you
is
gonna
tea
do?
party season. Absolutely, absolutely. So, well, listen, it is great to
Okay,
see you. You look lovely.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you
You
inviting
too.
me into your parlor.
Yes. You're welcome.
Where that
Thanks for
is.
joining me.
I'm loving the pink and the gold back there. It's absolutely
Isn't
stunning.
it really pretty? Yeah, yeah.
Gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
One of these days I'll remember where this is.
Yes, yes. Oh, and real quick,
Yes.
Downton Abbey, the final installment of the franchise coming out in September,
Oh
the
my God.
final goodbye, the final farewell, something
Is it a
like that.
movie or a
It
show?
is a
Okay.
movie. It's in September is what they're saying is the release date. It's supposed to be World War II, something or other. I
Okay.
hope it's not cheesy. But I've mentioned to a couple friends, I think what I should do, I'd like to do like a pre-viewing tea party here at my house, and then we all
Ooh,
go see the movie. I think would be
well, that's
grand.
a really good idea.
I know. So if you want to join us, you're
Okay,
welcome.
thank you.
All
Oh
right,
my
hon. Well,
goodness.
listen, good to see you.
Yes,
And
wonderful to see you too.
send me the teas when you can. I know it's a busy season, but
Yes.
it's going to be a good 6 weeks, I think, before we talk again. But that's
Yeah.
not like we don't text each other
That's right.
practically
Yeah.
every
Before,
day.
yeah, it'll just be 6 weeks before we talk on here again.
Exactly. Get good pictures of all you're doing, send them to me, post them, all that good stuff.
Okay, I will. All right. Same to you.
All right, will do. All
All
right,
right.
hon. Take care.
Cheery
Cheers,
bye.
all.